Hello, I am Lee Nelson B, musician for Lonely Ghost Records, and this is Tellin with Ellen. Here, we will go over recent Lonely Ghost releases, as well as those from affiliated artists, in a quest to get liner notes that you cannot get in a digital era. I hope you enjoy. All right, so how you doing today?
I'm doing okay. A little tired. Had to after work. Had to like clean the kitchen and do a lot of chores and stuff. So it's kind of a little beat. How about you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing
Oh.
well. Okay, because you're in Eastern PA, right?
Yeah, I just moved to Philly like a week ago. So I'm still like
The
in the
best
middle of
time
all
to
the
move to Philly.
yeah yeah. Luckily, I missed. I kind of missed the big storm a bit. Didn't really impact me that much. I like moved in like I started moving in. It was like a multi-day process because I only had like a PT Cruiser to move my stuff with, so I had to do like multiple trips like throughout the days getting all my stuff over. So
The narrative in this record, like buried in this record, correct?
yeah, I guess yeah, the backstory about it. I guess I could we could say like content warning. uh
But yeah.
I
Well,
guess
before we get into that,
well yeah.
uh, and before before
There's a
before we get into
narrative.
that, like I'm Nelson. Leave Nelson B is my artist name. Signed to Lonely Ghost Records. And who am I speaking with, and what can I call you? And if you want to, what pronouns do you go by?
My name is Riley James. You can call me either Riley or James, whatever you want. Still adjusting to going by Riley. Pronouns they them.
Okay. All right. And what band are you from?
I am the guitarist and singer of Johnny Football Hero.
All right. I yeah, I heard of you guys through the Ian Cohen Pitchfork review.
Oh yay! I'm glad
So
people found us do that.
yeah, that's how I found you guys.
Yay!
And yeah, because I believe me and my label CEO, well, the yeah label CEO, were we were talking about the record, and
Nice.
uh and that's how I got the attention of it. You may know Superdestroyer. I believe they wrote a volume. They wrote a review of your record.
Yeah, no, Lonely Ghost has been so nice. Like the review that came out yesterday, as well as y'all have been shouting us out on Twitter a lot, and it really means a lot because I mean, y'all are one of like the like DIY labels we were like really fond of, even like in the months anticipating becoming familiar with DIY Twitter and everything. So to see that um y'all are very supportive and nice to us. It is really heartwarming, and I really appreciate all the positivity.
Oh well, we happy to give it. But yeah, we do things like that. Like we did a review of Okie Cool's record back in May, I believe.
Oh
But
yeah.
but yeah, like it's actually a very good place to be signed to. I've been with them since the beginning, so I will
Oh,
say they've released oh, four of my records, four of my records so far. So yeah,
nice. I'm glad that there is a positive, that you've had a positive experience with them. Is Hey I is it Hey I Love You?
yeah. Hey,
They're
I
with
love you.
with you.
Yeah, they're signed to us. I believe they
Okay,
signed
okay,
last
okay.
January. I believe.
Nice. That's awesome. I love their record. That I started listening to that because like I don't know, I really love that influence of like the chip tune and like old like kind of old school like Nintendo core like I set my friends on fire type stuff, and I really love their integration of that into DIY emo, and like now I'm in the period of like thinking about writing new stuff, and I think that might play a hand in it, and I don't know, I might want to dip my toes in that as well. um Also because I'm a huge fan of like 80s city pop, so like I want to find a way to like get that involved in the music as well. And I think I don't know, those two influences. Sorry, I'm
Yeah,
rambling.
I was about to say, like, I don't know if I'll ever truly admit how informative, like, some of those old Mario songs, like, how good they are, for one, and
Oh
how
yeah.
like informative to my music that they are. I actually have a straight up cover of one of my, of Diary Docs on one of my albums.
Oh shit.
I probably should not say which track it is, but
Yeah, yeah.
but
Keep it a
but it's
mystery.
yeah, it's on my first release, Through Lonely Ghost. But yeah, it was yeah, it was straight up cover. And yeah, especially after the Mario 64 era, like I feel like the Mario music got really beautiful and complex for some
Yeah.
reason. You know, and
Yeah,
not to mention like the old like John Carpenter sound, those old synthesizers and everything. Like,
yeah, yes. When you get to the 64, yeah, you were able to get, I mean, still not like fully orchestrated music, but a nice, like cool, an interesting synth vibe. Especially I like I mentioned, I like the post like Nintendo 64 Mario games. I think that's around the same time like the Kirby games are having like some of like the absolute like most beautifully composed music. And I wonder if there's any. I mean, I know HAL Laboratories and Nintendo are separate, but I wonder if there's some crossover. I forget what the composer's name, but yeah. So I could totally see that because you're right. Before 64, I mean, the music was good, but I'm thinking about it now. It really did step up its game with
well,
64 and then onwards.
for me personally, I think it started really getting like the songs I remember from like Nintendo games, like besides like Super Metroid, which I thought was like the best composed game like in
Okay.
Nintendo's arsenal until Super Mario RPG came out, and the music for that game
Yeah.
is something that I remember
Yeah.
for a long time, and
Well,
even
they
to
had
this day.
that was a joint collaboration with Square Enix, right?
Yeah, I think that's
That's yeah. I think that has to definitely play a part of it.
I think that's the only game that Square America has ever released. To be honest, yeah, I think
Really? Wow.
yeah, yeah. This is the yeah because that was before the Enix buyout, I believe.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, yeah, man. The music for those games are just wonderful, and the Amiga and Commodore 64 had really good sound engines in them.
It did.
You know,
It did. Yeah, I
like,
mean, even I mean, you couldn't, in a way, like you couldn't compare with like what the Saturn and PlayStation could do, but since it was CD-ROMs, so like, I mean, I guess objectively they're gonna have better sound, but I do love, I'm not as familiar with the Amiga, but I will say the 64. I mean, for as limited as it could be, it was some of the best video game music of all time come out of it. I mean, you got the two best Zelda scores in my opinion from Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask.
Majora's Mask is definitely top
Yeah,
tier Zelda
yeah.
composition.
It's weird. I tell people if I weird tangent. If I'm like sometimes if like my pharmacy messes up and I like don't have my like Zoloft or antidepressants for a few days, I will get like really emotionally like responsive to music and I'll just burst out of tears just randomly. It's not like I'm like in a bad place or anything. And what's the observatory music in Majora's Mask? That kills me.
Yeah.
That is just that makes me feel so many things. I can't even explain. So yeah, Majora's Mask definitely top tier. Yeah, agreed.
I will tell a story I haven't told people before is that what actually got me into music, well back into making music because I would do like dumb shit on Fruity Loops back when it was called Fruity Loops back in the mid 2000s or something like that.
Okay.
Kind of dating myself here, but I would like it was like after like my first marriage like broke down and everything, and I have this shitty Casio like keyboard. I had like the speakers and
Okay.
everything. And,
Yeah.
you push one button, an entire MIDI sequence starts playing. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. I know. I can. It's and the sounds are always like just a bit off of what you'd prefer, and you're
And
just
there's
like,
always like a
I
dog
wish.
barking key for some
Yeah.
reason.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And like the random key and the sound effect was some guy going like, hey, or something like that. Yep. Oh, I know.
But I learned how to play Song of Storms from Ocarina of Time on that keyboard.
Oh, beautiful.
And it started raining, and I'm like, okay.
Yo. Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
This is England where it rains like 250
okay.
days out of the year, but still,
yeah. Okay.
It was a very deep emotional cut for me, and
yeah.
I really haven't stopped making music since then, and
that's beautiful.
That was like That was more than 10 years ago. Yeah.
Wow. That's a beautiful story. Seriously, like yeah, when things like that happen, like I don't know, like some people are gonna be like, oh, it's a sign, and I'm like, well, maybe, but like regardless of whatever it is still like a beautiful moment and something that can be very influential, you know, for you. So I'm glad that that experience happened for you.
Well, yeah, because video games are an entire package, right? Like
Yeah.
the music has to be good, the voice acting has to be good, the cueing moments of the music have to be perfect, and it can
Yeah.
definitely lead to some great moments, like One Winged Angel from Final Fantasy VII. You know, Sephiroth's theme, like that's a
I'm not
song you remember. You
I,
know,
you know what? I've probably heard it. I'm not as familiar with Final Fantasy TBH. I never had a PlayStation, so I couldn't do it. But I mean, from the Final Fantasy music I've heard, and knowing it's from Final Fantasy VII, I would not have it doubt in my mind that it's gorgeous.
but Final Fantasy VII had one good song, I believe. The latter part of the series, I think Silent Hill also, but it's
Okay.
also like bound to the PlayStation, which I never had a PlayStation in my household
Oh,
actually
okay.
ever, but I did
Oh,
get the soundtracks
oh okay. Okay.
for
Okay.
through like torrents or whatever, because this is like the mid 2000s. But
Oh, yeah. That's all. Yeah. Yeah. I couldn't. I mean, I how else? I don't know how. I mean, I was very. I don't want to say very young, like mid 2000s. I guess the only way I could find video game music was maybe like the Newgrounds audio portal, maybe. But like that was those were all covers. So like I was too young to know my way around the internet like properly. So but I did try.
well, my best friend put me onto OC Remix, and I got to hear like a bunch of remixes to video game music, but without actually
Beautiful.
hearing like the actual original version.
Okay, okay.
Which put me onto like the Amiga stuff. Which, man, some of those remixes are just amazing. But some of the
Ooh.
best ones are Kirby and Super Metroid games.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like like
Yeah. No, I
yeah,
agree.
those things definitely influenced me and how I go apart building a song without words. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I can imagine. I mean, I played a lot of video games when I was a lot younger, but when I became a teenager and everything, I kind of more just kind of buckled down with music because I think the issue I had with video games is like I couldn't it wasn't creative enough. Like I couldn't do something on my like I couldn't make something out of it that wasn't like predetermined. Um, but the years where I was like deeply into gaming and it was mostly Nintendo stuff, and we're talking like the early mid 2000s when I was a kid. Still very still in my head every once in a while. So I think it's nice that we're in a place in a societal sense where we can like be like, yo, video game music fucking slaps, and like people won't just look at you like you're what? Because I remember like if you would try to, I don't know, the idea of listening to video game music just on its own would be really weird.
Well, that
Like I
there
don't
was
know.
a cultural shift that happened after Gamergate happened, and there was like
Oh
you
god,
know like
Gamergate. Yeah.
yeah, but follow me here because
Okay,
I'm
no,
going
no, yeah. I know the political side of Gamergate and how it basically created the alt-right in a way. So like when everyone's like something after Gamergate is like, oh no. But it sounds
well,
good in your way. So
after Gamergate, I think it was more obvious that there was more than just like this one demographic into games, and
okay, okay.
I think
Yeah, yeah.
being like associated with video game music doesn't have the same implication that it does have,
Yeah.
that it
No,
did
that makes
have
sense.
back in the day,
Yeah, that
because
makes
like
sense.
you listen, you talk to somebody in like the mid 2000s about like anime Yoko Kanno soundtracks, like
Yeah, and then just
like
like,
you're thinking you're talking to one type of person as opposed to like a diverse group of people, which
yeah, yeah, that makes
if Gamergate
sense.
did one good thing, it did that is that like
Well,
no,
yeah, no,
we are not like these motherfuckers,
yeah, it finally basically stripped the idea that video games were just a primarily like white cishet male thing, and then like people from other communities were able to embrace video games and show how much it meant to them. So yeah, no, I definitely agree. Gamergate was great in that sense.
Yeah, so I don't feel shame in doing it anymore. Like
No, don't. No,
Nintendo was
that's
very
absolutely.
very much a part of my childhood, You
But like,
know,
and even mute, just in a purely musical sense, like the the craftsmanship that goes into composing like that music is absolutely incredible. I don't think most a lot of musicians and players could not even fathom the kind of creativity and talent and understanding of theory that it would take to compose um in that level.
well, yeah,
So
even just like Thomas Happ making music for Axiom Verge is just
right.
like those soundtracks are killer, you
Oh
know.
yeah. Oh yeah.
And they have their own cultural like contributions to music as a whole, you know.
Exactly.
I'm glad that we're in that space where we can have somebody like, "Hey, I love you," you know, like have
Yeah.
that be that kind of like musician and be proud of it and like, no, this slaps. This is fucking
Yeah.
good.
And I think, I mean, I've been telling people, I am so freaking ecstatic about, like, we can call it fifth wave. I mean, it started as a meme, but it's when Ian Cohen is writing about fifth wave in our Pitchfork review, I guess it actually becomes
Yeah,
legitimized. But like, the idea of fifth wave that I love so much is that, I mean, for context, I mean, growing up in suburban Philadelphia, and trying to be in a band in Philly. I graduated high school 2015. Then after that, just started working and trying to play in bands, and really getting into the DIY emo scene. But I feel like at that time, I was I was not really satisfied with a lot of the bands, and I feel like it got to be very samey, where every band was just trying to be the next modern baseball, and I feel like a lot of it became very samey. Um, and so to see that fifth wave is now of such a diverse category. I mean, like, "Hey, I Love You" and Ogbert the Nerd sound nothing alike, but they still are in the same community, and I'm so glad that we're able to be in a part of this now, and it's something I've um, been really hoping I could be a part of. I know a lot of people talk about how they hate like subgenres or labels and stuff, and personally, at least as far as my brain goes, I kind of like them. I like, it's just I can be such a categorical person with stuff, and I don't I never try to like force categories or labels onto people or artists. Um, but for my own sake, just in my brain, just having kind of like, having a file folder and stuff. So for me, being able to fit in fifth wave emo or whatever you want to call it, it's great because I really do admire the music, the community, and the sheer just creativity that's coming out of all corners of it. Um, so yeah, see, hearing "Hey, I Love You," and they're even like on our Spotify, they're one of like the similar artists, and on our radio, on like Johnny Football Hero Radio, and that's just freaking beautiful. I absolutely love it.
well, yeah. Plus, for me, categories are good and bad, at least as far as
Yeah. Oh
I'm,
yeah.
you
There's I
know.
mean, there's always going to be good and bad to them. I just um I always try to view them as the good, just in my personal sense, and I don't want to be an elitist gatekeeping, like, "Oh, that's not this, this is that." It's just
But
kind
if
of
you
like,
own a record store, you kind of have to have that. You know what
yeah,
I mean?
absolutely, yeah, no, agreed. But just in my own brain, I like having categories set for myself, and as long as I'm not putting them on other people and not gatekeeping or being an elitistic about it, I think that's fine.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. Categories are needed, you know, but to use them as exclusionary tools is also
Yeah,
not
no,
good.
absolutely. Yeah, like the wrong way to go about it is saying you're not a part of this. Like that's when you're like, okay, now this is shitty. Like, this is shit we can't do. No.
So,
Agreed.
but yeah, we went off on a tangent there.
Yeah, well, I think that's probably good, entertaining. I
Yeah,
hope
yeah,
people
we should be friends. Like, want to go
hell
bowling
yeah.
later?
I guess. Yeah. You're down in Florida? Where are you at?
Oh no, I'm Eastern Ohio.
Eastern Ohio.
Yeah,
Why was I thinking Florida?
Because
Or
like
is
almost
Lonely Goat?
every other like every but I think funeral homes is in Melbourne. Actually, I'm actually originally born in Florida. So
Okay, so I there was a connection that was somewhat right. So I'm
yeah,
glad I didn't just
I've mentioned
completely
that.
drop the ball.
Yeah, I think I've mentioned like a few times that me and funeral homes are actually like I was actually born like less than 30 miles away from where funeral homes lives right now. So
Okay, okay, okay.
yeah, like but yeah, I've been in Ohio since 2001. So
Cool, cool.
but yeah, it's a good place to be. It's a good place to be from, especially if you're living in Cleveland. I like it better than Western PA. So that's just me.
Yeah, Western PA is strange. As somebody from Eastern PA, Western PA feels just more like if West Virginia was a bit economically in an economically better place. Like Pittsburgh does not feel Pittsburgh feels like a West Virginia city, and I'm sure I'm gonna get Pittsburgh people like absolutely just shitting their pants at this Philly kid just saying something like that. But it's true. It's true, you know.
I mean, Yinzers are a particular breed of people.
Yeah, yeah. I like them, you know, I mean I Pittsburgh's nice and everything, but it's definitely West Virginia, just in Pennsylvania disguise.
Yeah, they definitely got fries on their sandwiches. It's not like as sophisticated as like a Philadelphia or Allentown or Reading or something. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. Like, oh yeah, like Philly was like, hey, yo, we sliced up these steaks really fine, threw provolone cheese and onions on here, and we created this cheesesteak. And Pittsburgh's like, and they're like desperately like scrounging around a kitchen, and they just throw like fries on a sandwich. Like, oh, look, we have a sandwich too. We have a sandwich. It's like, oh, okay, good for you. It's like,
just any form of potato, they'll put gnocchi on the sandwich if they could.
oh, I'm sure. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Pittsburgh is a. You know what? I will not shit on Pittsburgh too much. It is a beautiful city. I went there a few months ago, right before I started my new job. I was still on unemployment. I was like, I want to just take myself out. Just before I go back to the rigorous life of Monday through Friday wage labor, and just enjoy myself. And I think the drive across Pennsylvania is like
It's
it's just
exhausting.
so it it's exhausting. I love it personally. I love Pennsylvania. I think it's a beautiful state, and I'm so glad that I live here. I just think oh no, I have I just took my Lancer, which I just slammed to the ground and um and just hauled ass on the Pennsylvania Turnpike and just cruised, and it was just beautiful. It was early summer too, so perfect weather.
Yeah,
It was a really
some of those
therapeutic.
hills when you're going for the Appalachians can get tough though.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. But you know what? They're fun as hell to drive on if you have the right car for it. And
Yeah,
thankfully, I spent too much money on a a racing suspension for my Lancer, so I'm like, I'm going to utilize it. And yeah,
yeah. I think the last time I did that, I was in a Scion XD, which is
and
not a good
yeah,
car for that.
not very. I don't think that's as aerodynamic and sporty. So
Yeah, definitely not the best car for that. Okay, so Riley, I'm gonna call you Riley.
cool, cool.
All right. So complacency, Johnny Football Hero. Can you
Yes.
explain what the Johnny Football Hero project itself, like the band itself, means to you, and how it got started, and how you guys, what was your journey to complacency?
Yeah. So Johnny Football Hero came about in the drummer Misha and I were in a band called the Dispersions back. I want to say like from like 2016, 2017 was when we were around. In the Dispersions, we released a few things, and we eventually like ended up signing to Drexel University's student label called Mad Dragon Records, and they basically had us re-record our debut album because we did it all on our own. And I did not know how to record anything, so it was like engineering wise, it was horrible, like almost unlistenable in a way. But we had to re-record this album, and we spent a whole year doing that, and then a whole other like months of like mixing and mastering. Like these guys were like mixing and mastering it. It just wasn't sounding good, and then it came out after like a year of working on it. They posted about it once, and then we never heard from them again. So they just fucking dipped.
Wow.
And so we just spent like a whole year just redoing this album. And so this was like, over the course of originally writing the album, making the original homemade version, then re-recording it, it was about like 2.5 to 3 years on a record that just kind of, so we got in like a really like depressed and like really upset state. And we were really just disillusioned with everything that had happened to us. And, we were, this label kind of like promised us a lot of things that just never happened. I remember them saying, "Oh, when we release this, we're going to plan a tour for like, the Northeast and Midwest, and even into Canada, we have some stuff." And then like a few months later, when I followed up about it, they were like, "We've actually never booked a tour before, so it's not something we can do." So just a lot of shit. We went, after that, Dispersion started writing a new EP that was kind of in response to that. And during the recording of it, the bassist, who's my close friend, he left the band because just their mental health just was not in a great place, and just being in the band was
all
not
that sounds like a
helpful.
little much to go through, especially at that young of age.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Misha and I were kind of like in the middle of making this record, and it was completely different sounding. It was a whole other type of EP or record, however you want to call it. And we just decided, let's just kind of retire the Dispersions and make this EP a new band. And so that's how Johnny Football Hero was formed. That first EP is called Long Walk Off the Short Pier. That came out in 2019. We added our friend Matt in to play bass. Long Walk came out, and it's really weird. It's just like the weird emotional turmoil wouldn't stop. The day we released our first EP, like 2 hours into it, I was like, went to work, and then I got a call. I was just like, from my dad, it's like, "Hey, your grandfather just died." So it was the same day that released. It was a very dark and emotional and very honest record. And so for that to happen the same day it comes out just left a really weird feeling. And I didn't want to go as hard as just promoting it or anything. It just felt weird.
And Long Walk Short Pier is a unique record in and of itself.
Yeah.
Because I think every record that I've done that has like a track that's like named after the name of the record, it's always the longest song on the record, and you guys made it the shortest, always the shortest, like
that was
instrumental thing, and that was a very beautiful sounding track, if I don't say so myself. Like,
you know what, if you listen to the version on Spotify, it's actually completely fucked up.
Oh, really?
The audio file itself, somehow during the upload, I think I was using CD Baby at the time. So when you start hearing the song, it actually cuts in like 30 seconds into the song. So it just crashes, like there's no gradual fade in. And then the actual start time underneath of the song that's already playing starts playing. So the song is playing twice at different time periods in it.
Oh, so that's not a delay effect. That
is an error. That is not, and that's one of the reasons why we didn't promote it on Spotify, because it happened and we couldn't undo it. Like, we tried, and it was just that, and we're just kind of like, God damn it, because it's a really sweet little track. So if you hear the version on Bandcamp, and I think it's even up on SoundCloud somewhere, you hear the appropriate, legit version that's not completely fucked up.
I was about to say that guitar like really sounded cool with the delay effect on it, but no, that's.
There was a normal guitar delay effect on there, but I guess when you layer the song, not like a 30 millisecond. Yeah. So it's funny. I see that song gets a lot of streams on Spotify. I'm like, bro, like, y'all don't understand. Like, it's this file is broken. Like, I hope I don't ruin it. I think I've ruined it for a few people when I've told them that. But yeah, we did Long Walk, and it was weird. It didn't really seem to fit for a lot. Like, we just couldn't pick up an audience that could really gel with it. It's a good record. It's a bit experimental and a bit it kind of doesn't know what it wants to be. I think it's very ambitious, but a bit too ambitious. And I think a lot of people, when they heard it, I think, the first song, January, fucking slaps, but the rest of it kind of fluctuates between, as far as like its consistency. So it didn't really do anything, it barely had any streams or anything, but we still grinded. We still played shows throughout 2019 and early 2020. And then the pandemic hit. And so I guess we could do the TW, CW content warning, trigger warning, I guess. Anxiety, depression.
If you haven't listened to Complacency yet, please do that so I can get the dark themes of the record.
Yeah. So I wrote a bulk of Complacency throughout the summer and fall, and summer and fall of last year. During that time, I was in a 3-year long relationship, and I was living with my ex-partner for about a year at that point, when things just kind of ended. Initially it was, I was kind of, a lot of it was kind of pointed towards just me being complacent, apparently. I was told that, I was just not willing to better myself or to, I don't know. And it's hard to explain because I do think, looking back in retrospect, I think there was quite a bit of projection, but I will say, like, they were like telling me, like, your ADHD, like, it's not an excuse, and they would just want me to, like, they kind of like made it seem like I could just be better just by thinking about it. When, I've struggled with ADHD and anxiety and depression that kind of resulted from the ADHD. I've struggled with that since I was 9. And, I'd been in and out of treatment for it.
Yeah, I think I've moved away from the language of being better and well, because, like, no, this person's already the best version of themselves that they can be. You know what I mean?
No,
like,
exactly. Yeah.
This is them. This is them. Either take it or leave it.
Yeah. So, relationship ended for myriad of reasons. And I moved back with my parents' place shortly after I lost my job. Shortly after, and a few months after that, I was in another band who, in the months leading up to the pandemic and everything, had actually been gaining quite a bit of traction, and it seemed like this other band was going to go big. That band was called Crashing. Crashing crashed. We had a weird falling out with our drummer that, they were like threatening us, and it was kind of getting really scary, really weird, stressful, scary situation all around. So I just it had just gotten to a really just deep depression over that. It just, as things always happen, like, there's always one big wave when you go into a really dark place for a while, but then there's, like, like, depressive moments or periods in your life, it's not one big thing. It's kind of like a combo meal, right? So, like, the breakup was the Big Mac, but losing my job was the fries, and then the other band was the soda, and then on top of that, the McFlurry was, like, not playing shows, like, not having an emotional outlet, and
and getting that response too.
Yeah, and as well as having a fascist president in power who is gassing protesters and sweeping them off the street in Portland, as well as Black Lives Matter protests and how it was being spun by fucking conservatives, and just a really dark time for everybody, right? So it was a tough situation. Eventually I was able, and I'm really thankful, and I understand that I was in a place where I'm thankful and kind of privileged in the fact that I was able to do this in a monetary sense, as well as just being in a position where I could. But I was put into an intensive outpatient therapy program for a few months, just to help me out. it's something that I think a lot of people, I think so many people could really benefit from, but just from other from socioeconomic um what's the word from other socioeconomic obstacles, there we go, in their way, just don't have access to, whether it's money or just, having to work too much.
Yeah, I understand because I'm a veteran and I've had to do prolonged exposure therapy.
I couldn't imagine.
Yeah, but well, yeah, it's
I
but
mean,
yeah,
no, not like not like that. Well, like I understand.
yeah, like prolonged exposure and cognitive therapy, and I did that throughout the process that I was recording a record,
Okay.
and
Okay.
and I think I do agree with you. Like people can massively benefit from like an outpatient program where you have to go in like once a
Yeah.
week or twice a week or something like that.
Oh,
You
yeah,
know,
absolutely. Yeah, it's sad because I would have people ask me, because I will say that this therapy program, and I was in it for about like 4 months, and we would do about like 2.5 hour sessions. I want to say I want to say 3 or 4 days a week. So it took a lot of time. I learned a lot, and it really really helped me out a lot. Um, and I feel really bad because some people will reach out to me because it helped me immensely, and it still has helped me immensely. And when people ask for advice, like how, you know, what was my experience with it, like what would I recommend, I tell them, it's like I couldn't recommend it enough, but far too often I hear that they don't have the money to do it, or they work too much, or they're just not in a position. And it's really heartbreaking, because I think it is something that a lot of people who are in desperate situations, or even not desperate situations, just like dealing with really bad mental health, I think it's something that could benefit a lot of them. But just the world is working against that, and they don't have access to it for a myriad of reasons.
so
um,
sometimes the most valuable person is somebody that has no investment into you at all, and
yeah,
that's what
no,
therapy was for me.
oh, absolutely, yeah, there's somebody that comes into you knowing, that has no preconceived like bias against you,
Yes.
or for you, right? Because the people that don't like you are going to make it all your fault, and the people that do like you are going to make it all the other person's fault, and there's always going to be a bit of bias, unless you have very stand up friends who understand that you need something more straight up, and something that'll help you. But I mean, you can't expect that from everybody, but a therapist is perfect for that.
And it's not necessarily like it doesn't mean your friends are bad people. Just that
No, no, not at all. It's just,
it's just that they're not trained to deal with that. And also,
yeah,
by the way, I know this guy since I was like a teenager or a child or something. You know what I mean?
right, right, yeah, yeah. To get, I mean, different perspectives can just mean can just can help out. Sometimes you just need a different perspective, and I think the role that a therapist can provide, especially a good therapist who actually cares, who is actually invested in their job, that could that speaks volumes. It's not easy, and it was a very hard process, and a lot of hard lessons I had to learn. You know, with the therapy and everything, I had to kind of admit to myself and the world, that the relationship I was in, my partner was abusive.
So
Um,
complacency is like it seems like to be like the theme of the breakdown of this relationship. I would assume.
you know, there's a big part of it, I think, but I think complacency more or less is the the journey that I had to go through to cope and heal from not only the relationship ending, but the other things happening in my life. There are parts and there are songs in the record that are directly linked to that. Um, but I don't want to. I don't like viewing the record as a breakup record, because I feel like it's a lot more. It was more of a uh, the narrative of growing and healing out of it, and coming out the other side okay, and falling back in love with myself and being confident in the kind of person I am
Well,
after years.
I just want to, I just want to clarify. I wasn't meaning complacency as in the EP itself, but as in like just the word itself. Because the
Oh
record itself, it seems like the enemy is yourself. You know what I mean?
yeah, okay, okay,
For
yeah,
most of the
no,
record.
yeah, I mean the whole idea of even the cover art was something my therapist said, and it was, you know a lot of people are more comfortable to live in a comfortable hell than to discover an uncomfortable heaven. And that's, where I got the imagery from. Um, so yeah, complacency is the idea of kind of keeping yourself it's kind of like keeping yourself in a state where, even though if you've tried the same thing a million times and it hasn't worked, to just keep trying. Because changing hurts. Like, changing is not fun to do. And no one just decides to wake up one day and is like, hey, I need to change my outlook. I need to change my, perspective, and then does it successfully. It's usually brought about through some kind of personal failing that results in a lot of emotional turmoil, or you know yeah.
Well, you mentioned the cover. Is this the same character from the Sister Helen and the Long Walk off the Short Pier cover?
Yeah, yeah, that the guy has no name or anything. I guess some people could be like, oh, is he the mascot? I was just kind of like, no, I just thought it'd be cool to reuse them, I guess, to kind of, I think both of the different covers kind of paint a similar picture, but literally and figuratively, but in different ways. The Long Walk's message was, kind of reveling in failure, and the end of the record very much is just like, it's a very downer ending. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. You reach the end of the tunnel, and it's just a dark, there's just a wall, and there is no end of the tunnel. It's just walled off. Where Complacency takes a similar approach, where it kind of goes through a really difficult time in my life, and the most difficult time in my life, but it chronicles the months that I healed and got better out of it, and it comes out on top. Complacency Part 2 is the Siren Song, and me just the Siren Song of me falling back in love with myself and having confidence in myself, and really just getting it out there. It's super cathartic for me, especially playing it live. It's yeah.
I absolutely love this record. I think it definitely
Yay.
speaks to the human experience that you get to when you're like just all of a sudden you're in a dark place and you don't really know why,
Yeah.
or you don't want to know why because it's your own fault, or you're gonna have to do some inner work to get to that other side, and
Right.
you
Right.
know but
Thank you.
it's also very very concise, even though it gets its point across very well. But also musically, I really like this record because like the
Thank you.
direction that the first two tracks, where it's like almost like almost closer to like a cross between like Dance Gavin Dance and what's that other band? I forget. Oh, Coheed and Cambria. That's how good
Okay.
I think the singing is on this record.
Thank you. Oh, I'm so I'm glad when people compliment my voice, because I will tell you, it was not easy over the years, really trying to retrain my voice to hit those higher notes. Yeah, I mean, Dance Gavin Dance is huge. I mean, there's reviews and things that go into it. But I think one band that I haven't shouted out enough is a band called Hail the Sun. They're kind of in the same space and same style as Dance Gavin Dance, but they sound a bit more like Circa Survive. So, and the singer sounds kind of like Anthony Green, but I think the singer of Hail the Sun is a bit better. But Circa fans will crucify me if I say that. But it took a long time to really develop the confidence and the range of my voice, and I'm so glad that people can hear that and it's funny. I joke with my bassist Addison because she was in when she funded her old band when she lived back in Indiana. She would get the constant, oh, you guys remind me of Paramore and stuff. Even though her voice is nothing like Hayley Williams, their music was not very Paramore. So I joke because I intentionally am influenced by Hayley Williams as well. So when I go for those high notes and some of those inflections, I'm not trying hard, but I am very much repping Hayley Williams' vocal influence on me. And I just I'm waiting for the moment when somebody's like, you remind me a lot of Paramore, but they haven't yet. And I'm like, it is a gender thing, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
Nothing
I
again.
mean, you can't present as a woman in frontman in rock without being compared to either Hayley Williams, Otep Shemaya, or I forgot what the lady's name from In This Moment was. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, right.
you get stuck in those boxes.
Yep.
Even though I think Hayley Williams reminds me more of Skylar Grey than any other lead singer that I've heard.
Oh yeah, that is a salient point.
I'm surprised nobody else has ever made that connection in any review that I've read. Apparently,
I'm gonna have to listen now. But yeah, I'm gonna I don't doubt it.
But yeah, the record does take it downward as far as like Complacency Part 1 and Sister Helen, but it picks up back up in Aurora, and then Part 2 definitely sounds way better than where it began. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean that, and I was writing these songs throughout the, kind of, I don't want to say sequentially, but yeah, kind of sequentially through the therapy and through the healing process. And I really think that it came out sounding like it. Like, I don't think I could have written Aurora when I was in the dark place that I was when I wrote 41. Aurora was, kind of me kind of letting go. That is just, I don't know, my therapist was one of the sessions we had, the therapist was talking about, kind of moving on and kind of letting go in your head, right? Where you might have broken up with the person, or you might not be friends with this person anymore, or this person may have passed away, and while they're physically not there, they're still occupying space in your mind that is detrimental to you, and it at least emotionally or mentally. And she was talking about, like, don't be angry, don't hold resentment, don't be angry, upset, or anything, but be gracious for the good times you did have, and say goodbye. And she compared it to kind of when you're done eating at a restaurant, you don't just stay around and continue to just exist there. You do have to ask for the check. And really, Aurora was the musical representation of me asking for the check, and closing the book on a chapter of my life through gratitude. So I think that's why, if it sounds very natural, it because it was.
Yeah, this record definitely flows a lot differently than Long Walk, Short Pier.
Yeah, and I'm glad too, because I think Long Walk just goes deeper and darker and deeper and darker, and then it's just kind of like, well, here you are, bye.
Yeah, so, you don't get to have a happy ending to this one, because I'm still not sure about it.
Yeah, exactly. Where Complacency, it really was just me just being so happy that I was able to make it through it and come out with new lessons learned and a new perspective on life. As cheesy as all that may sound, I don't want to sound too like hippie-ish or anything, but it really is true. I mean, I'm always going to have mental health issues. I'm always going to have off days and everything, but it's more or less the ways I can cope and address it, that has changed.
Well, yeah, it's just like what I say, like, these things have a home now. I don't have to think about them anymore.
I like that. That. That's a great phrase. I might start using that for myself.
I can go back to it if I want to, but if I don't want to, it's there, and it was good for me then, and it may be good for somebody else
Yeah,
by the act of like releasing these type of things to the public. But
absolutely.
you make it sound easy because like especially with Captain Oblivious and 41, like these are some greatly written and executed guitar parts in these songs. Like the
Thank you.
performance of them is spot on. You
Thank
know,
you.
and you almost get like almost like a jazzy feel of like how like some of the chords are choosing or
Oh yeah.
some of the chords are like
Oh,
how what
absolutely.
was your philosophy when writing like musically attacking this record?
Um,
But this is talent, this is
Thank you.
talent and obviously a practiced and honed ability,
Yeah.
and there's
I
definitely
mean,
some choices here that a lot of like fifth wave does not make.
yeah, I think really what it comes down to is that my life with music is just different from a lot of other people's in the fifth wave. And I say that might sound like, whoa, this has a really cool backstory. No, not really. I did not grow up on emo or pop punk or anything. For most of my, you know, childhood and especially my teen years, I was one of those insufferable brats that was like, oh, classic metal, classic rock is the only real shit. I don't listen to this new shit. Blah, 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 blah. Like my
And there's a
like
part of that in every one of us. I was like that with underground rap music for the longest time.
yeah. Oh, okay. So yeah, I was that kid. You know the memes where it's like you listen to Justin Bieber, I listen to AC/DC. You listen to Katy Perry, I listen to Led Zeppelin. Like real music isn't dead or whatever. I was that, but unironically in like the early mid 2010s. So um but that greatly so that's the kind of music I was into. My favorite bands were old metal bands from the 80s: Iron Maiden, Queensryche, Rat,
All have
Dokken.
legendary guitarists who can do a
Yeah,
lot of things.
yes, absolutely. So when I got out of that, I think it was in high school when I got, my first really big like depressive state. That music just was not speaking to me anymore. It was not good for that. And then my friends and I went to like an FYE in Philly, and one of them picked up the Blue album by Weezer, and we listened to it on the way home. And for some reason, that record just it spoke to me, so that I became a Weezer fan. Unfortunately, well, no, well, unfortunately, fortunately, angsty teen kid in high school who's not having success in dating, discovers Pinkerton, and it changes their life. Like, I had that phase, but it did help me have a new appreciation for more modern music, and rock. And so after high school, I got try to figure out like the local scene a bit and kind of working my way into the DIY emo scene. There wasn't anybody at my school that really knew the DIY emo scene, so it took years to like really find the right places, the right bands, and everything to find something that I could get into. And when I did, um, I finally got into it around like 2016, 2017. So I think it's a combination of just having a different childhood, different perspectives, also just guitar wise, from days, I started playing guitar when I was in the second grade, um, and the years of ripping off Iron Maiden and shit, and then eventually getting into DIY emo, and then even weirder things like I would learn like old Michael Jackson songs on guitar, and a lot of those songs would teach me different cool jazz chords and stuff, and a lot of them I've ended up just replacing power chords altogether with either these seventh or ninth chords, or just straight bar chords.
Yeah, I mean
So,
Quincy Jones was a very astute producer and
oh,
wrote
absolutely.
some of the best music Michael Jackson's ever performed.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely.
but,
Specifically, "Rock with You" from
oh,
"Off the Wall,"
great
and
song.
"Baby Be Mine" off the Thriller were two songs I learned that completely just opened the floodgates for chord theory for me. So it's something, now I don't use power chords. I only use like seventh, ninth, or bar chords really. And I think that's where you mentioned the jazz thing. Yeah, that's definitely where it comes from. And also, a lot of 70s disco and funk, as well as beautiful, um, beautiful theory all sprinkled all through it. So also learning old songs from that era as well has also helped that.
Because I'm getting, I got like a really like, if Stephen Carpenter like wrote happier music that was still dark, this will be this will be a good presentation of that. But yeah, like you're speaking like like jazz theory all throughout these like first two tracks, and even somewhat with Aurora. But like yeah, it's so
But
unique, because like
yeah.
Quincy Jones like pretty much like sprinkled in like really complex like Circle of Fifth shit,
Oh yeah. Oh,
with
absolutely.
the first like two like big Michael Jackson records. But
I
like yeah.
who else was it? It was also I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But there was also a co-writer that came in and helped write some of the songs along with Quincy Jones. I can't remember his name. I want to remember it later, but I know he was in the band Heat Wave. Um, and I can't remember his name, but he also was really instrumental in some of those songs, or even like I can even pick out some similarities between like the song "Off the Wall" and a Heat Wave song. So like yeah, like I forget his name. I'm going to
Oh,
be kicking myself. Ron something.
Rodney Temperton, right?
Rod Temperton. That's it.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
Okay.
yes. Beautiful composer.
Yeah, I do
Thank you.
remember. I do remember. I do remember. Do remember him being in a Michael Jackson documentary.
Yep, yep, yep.
So yeah. Oh man. Yeah. As
Which
soon
I
as you
don't
mentioned
know.
Heat Wave, I was like, oh shit, I know this guy.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's interesting because like I'm not like classically trained with jazz or anything. Like I could, if you put down some like sheet music, I technically I should, because I played violin in high school, well in school in general for years. But sight music has always been really hard for me. But I'm sure like I've always been in a weird place, because like I feel like to like the math rock people, they kind of like view me and they kind of scoff like, oh, I see, I'm not that good. Like, oh, I can't do that. I can't do the fancy.
Math rock people are like Tool fans. Yeah, they like
Yeah,
good music, but they're kind of pieces of shit still.
they
you know.
can they can be, and I've felt very excluded from a lot of people I really like, and I feel like I've always felt like the whole like, well, you're not like us, so you just go over there and play your little punk music. So
I remember going through that when I found out that I liked Dillinger Escape Plan.
oh
And
yeah,
man,
that could be
trying to get recommendations from those people is like pulling teeth.
Yep. I've always been in a weird conundrum where I was just kind of like a bit too punk, or a bit too like wild for the math. It's a bit too unsophisticated for like the math rock fans, but like a bit too sophisticated for like the punk fans. But I think that's where like the emo label really helps transcend that.
Well, the real trick is like try to nail those two things down into something that entirely speaks to yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
And 41 and Captain Oblivious were just executed greatly in a relatively short amount of time compared to the rest of the songs on the record.
Yeah, especially 41. I'm always surprised of how it's only like what, around 2 minutes. It's one of the shortest songs I've written, which I'm glad. It does what it does its job well.
Oh no, I really appreciate this record. So as far as like the story of the record,
Mm-hmm.
like lyrically, what do you have for us?
Yeah, so I guess track by track, I guess I can go by. I mean, like, of course, like I've said, the narrative of going through all that, and then kind of working myself back up through therapy and stuff, that definitely persists through the record. Captain Oblivious specifically is all about like the struggles that like I've had with the ADHD, and it was really hard to like come up with the perfect words. So I hope like that comes across well. I'm pretty sure having a chorus where you just say, "Stupid brain, you fucked me over yet again
Yeah.
today." That's pretty on the nose there. So not a lot of room for interpretation, but yeah, just generally how I could feel like my brain, just like there's like a part of my brain that's like secretly like is trying to sabotage me. I'm just kind of like kind of like I don't know, like what's it's a good example of like, I can't think of like a movie or something, but like where like the main character has this like person or force that is like secretly messing things up, so the main character gets into trouble or something like
So it's
that.
like
Like I
it's
feel like
like
there's
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern from Hamlet almost.
yes, a little devious part that just likes to fuck around because it's fun for it. Yeah, Coming to is definitely, especially with like the inattentive part and just kind of like the mind blanking, just mind blanking, but also just the feelings actually come with feeling that, you know, the like just the depressive state that ADHD can bring, that you fuck up so much. But regardless of how hard you're trying, people will not think that, they'll just think you're either lazy or you don't care, or you know, the worst thing they can think is that you're just stupid. And that's a huge insecurity that I can still battle with today, is this feeling that, you know, I'm just not intelligent, I'm not smart, which I know I am. Like I'm thinking I'm a very intelligent person. I don't mean to say that as like a, yeah, I'm really smart, but it's important for me to believe that, because if I believe it, then, you know, I'll act in ways that represents it. So, but there's still a lot of times where it can become a self-perpetuating cycle. So Captain Oblivious is a lot about the ADHD. 41 um, 41 kind of represents when you can just, when everything starts to go wrong, and just like that moment of sheer, just like the world crumbling around you, and trying to work through it, you know. I remember the lyrics are really written about like trying to, you know, the time I did still have my job last summer after, you know, a lot of the breakup shit happened, just trying to like power through the day without just completely bursting into tears, and how hard it was to just wear your brave face. But you know, yeah, I really couldn't. You know, I would have to like step outside on my 15-minute breaks and just fucking bawl just to get it out. um, and so, you know, just trying to struggle while, you know, trying to work and just go about life, even though the world is collapsing around you, and that the weight of that is just unbearing. Which also speaks for that whole you know, COVID thing that happened. You know, the
Yeah.
whole, yeah, you know, kind of a little parallel. um,
Well, I mean
yes.
that we're gonna be desensitized to a lot as we get older.
Oh yeah. Oh
We're
yeah.
definitely gonna be back in my day. We had a worldwide pandemic type of thing when it comes to like other people's problems as we get older.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's just gonna keep hitting. Shit's just gonna keep hitting the fan, and we just kind of become that one fish in SpongeBob. You know, the if you know what I'm talking about. Like there's like the montage of the fish who just has like the same like deadpan like defeated face, and it's just like various clips of like him sitting in his cubicle, then him sitting in his car, and then him like that. That's just what living is in this world where, you know, climate change is killing us. And sorry, I can get political, so I'll
well,
try not
well,
to.
it reminds me of a conversation I had with Superdestroyer, where it's like, are we gonna be the is are our parents gonna be the last generation that dies naturally? You know, are we gonna get into a resource war where it's gonna be very
Oh,
deadly for everybody?
yeah. Unfortunately, I've been. Yeah. If you really want to get doomer pill, just, you know, look into like how much of a valuable resource water is going to be in like the next couple decades. I'm terrified of like water wars. So yeah, no, yeah, probably. And you know, fuck did they care? They won't have to experience it when it gets really bad. So I guess, you know, I guess it was worth all those profits, though. You know, I guess that was worth it.
I mean,
So
well
yeah,
played. I mean, definitely
yeah, well played.
put me in a chess position that I don't want to be in. That's for sure.
But the thing is, like, we just we're just not working hard enough. We just
Oh
have to, you
yeah.
know, pull up our bootstraps and, you know, just work harder. You know, so really, we're the
You know,
bad.
I do have skin in the game and being lazy, Joe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, it's, you know, I would be a millionaire. I just don't feel like it.
Yeah.
I would be successful.
Some guy offered me $1 million yesterday. I'm like, who the fuck are you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's like I don't feel like it. But yeah, so 41 is definitely that feeling, basically still trying to have to go through your life even though you are just a complete mess. Complacency Part 1 is kind of narratively kind of like just those days when you can do nothing but just lie in bed and just try your best to sleep as much as you can, because at least when you're asleep you're not feeling those bad emotions. So like Complacency Part 1 is pretty much like the depths of that depression, and
Well,
even kind of
it's giving a definition to what you're feeling, and it's doing it at a very slow pace.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And like even musically, like that is like a very like clearly and very inspired by like old school emo, like Sunny Day Real Estate, Mineral, like huge, like, you know, I think really ripped out of that playbook, you know, just that kind of sad kind of music with that chorus. So yeah, I say Complacency Part 1 is definitely the sad depressed song of the record, where Sister Helen just tries to, you know, pick up, and it's just like, all right, you're in a shitty place. It's kind of like you know, like in movies and stuff, they're like, yeah, you're in a bad place, da da da, and we're gonna do this, you're gonna do that, kind of like the weird, like, yeah, you're in a bad, I can't think of what I swear I have references. I just can't pinpoint where they are, but I know of it. But Sister Helen really is more like the, hey, you're in a really shitty place. This sucks. But you know what? Let's fucking give it a shot. Let's go for it. You know, kind of like the fun, you know, it tries to make a bit more fun out of the situation and just tries to fucking jam. It's like, you know what? Let's go. Let's try to get ourselves back up. Let's try to get better. It's gonna suck. You suck right now, but you know, we're not gonna suck for long.
Yeah, because the groove of especially the latter half of the record, you know, like it really goes like, I don't want to say weird, but it's definitely unpredictable at a certain point.
Yeah. No, I
And
think yeah, it's a very. I don't know how much I intended it. I feel like it's very like side A and side B. Like they're two very distinct sides of the record. The first half and then the second half are feel different, but it still progresses naturally.
yeah, because it kind of got me to like thinking to like, you know, you're trying to convince a person to, you know, go to a dance and you're trying to say, come on, you can dance, just show me what you got. In the second half of the song is like showing you what you got.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
That is really good. That is great imagery, actually. I that might stick with like the girl bringing like her nerdy boyfriend to like the middle school dance, like, come on, show him what you got. And then he does all that, and then like everyone just, the song ends and everyone's just like looking with their like mouths open and kind of like oh, that just happened.
yeah, and it's like, yeah, that's the image I got from Sister Hell, which is my favorite
like,
song on the record.
So thank you. Yeah, that I don't. I'm surprised I wrote that song and how natural it came about. Like, I wish I could decode it. I think that's just like toot my own horn, but like there's some great pop. It's just a great little pop song, I think, with a lot going on, but still, I don't know how I managed to. Sometimes the most simplest things that come naturally are so hard to like decode, like looking back on them. It's like, how was I able to do that? Yeah, I'm so proud of that song. So proud.
Yeah, I can understand, because when I just started this this modern four-way of mine to write like synth chords and piano chords and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And how I get some of the sequences done is like beyond me. Like I'm just sitting here at this at this keyboard with a chord chart and strum patterns and stuff like that, and all of a sudden I come up with something that I want to use, and it's like, how did I land on that? I can't recreate that.
Yeah, and it's when you try too hard is when you fail. Well, not fail, but like when it can just not, when things, I like the phrase, like, you know, if you're pushing, you know, if you have
if you're
songwriting,
forcing it, you're gonna
yeah, like
it's gonna be
songwriting,
obvious.
songwriting is like a fart. If you're forcing it, if you have to force it, it's probably shit. So I try to
That's
keep
a good
that.
one. I like that. I like that a
Uh,
lot.
if I try to keep that in the back of my head, and if there's something that's just not, I'm just having so much trouble, and if I'm really, really having to try so hard to finish it, let's just no, and then what else? Oh, Aurora. Yeah, Aurora was. I even went into it a bit before, kind of like, letting go, personally in your head, and then as well as Complacency too, just really bringing out the record, just having a new sense of confidence, and while you're not always going to be okay, or you might always have some issues or some struggles, that's okay, and that the work that it is worth all the work and all the effort to get yourself up and back out of it, even if you might go down again, because there's no there is no happy ending. I think that's one thing we're all like, implicitly taught from like the movies and media we see, is that like, oh, we're all working towards one big happy ending. That's something I used to think of a lot, but I think it was like I was watching I watched like Bojack Horseman for the first time all the way through.
Oh
And
man,
it's a
that's a show.
yeah, no,
That's a show.
that show is deeply influential on me, on the music I write. Even using the sample of it during Captain Oblivious. I mean, you can't get any more than that. But I think one of the nicest, the best things that show taught me is that there is no happy ending. There is no, at the end of the day, after you get married and ride off into the sunset, there's still the next day, and you're still you, no matter where you are and everything. And while that could be a defeatist thing, instead of seeing life as working towards an all-encompassing happy ending, really viewing life as just like a series of peaks and valleys. Some peaks are going to be really high, some valleys are going to be very low, but the end of every valley is a peak, and at the end of every peak there's a valley, but you're always going to be climbing your way out.
Well, which is why I like Aurora so much, because it ends towards the ending phase of the record. Like you just have this one long, like distorted tone,
yeah,
lingering
yeah,
on, and I
yep.
thought that
A huge like release, just an energy of release, I guess. Yeah.
yeah, and that's the beauty of a guitar, is that like string instruments are just imperfect like all the time,
Yeah.
that way, and like to have like that kind of like distortion there, and
Mhm.
especially at this point in the record where the things do look like they're getting better, but it's like a reminder, but this is not
Yeah.
this is not over, but
Yeah, it's not over, but it's never over. There's
for
no
me,
ending.
life is just going to Home Depot, right? Like the projects are never going to stop. The repairs are never going to stop. All you can hope is that you got better tools to handle them. You know what I mean?
I love that so much. I love it. Life is just an ongoing cycle of having to go back to Home Depot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had to, you needed the 12 millimeter socket for this, but you should have got the standards. So I have to go back.
Well, no matter
Oh my
how
God.
nice your house is, you're never going to be completely free of a need to go to Home Depot,
Oh,
or
I decided to start getting into like working on modding cars. I know completely how that fucking works. All the times I had to be like, Mom, can I borrow your car to go to Advanced Auto Parts? And then just covered in grease and going up to the counter, and they get you the wrong part, so you have to go back later. Yeah, so life is just working on cars and having to go back to Advanced Auto Parts.
Yeah.
Yep. Or Home Depot, whatever kind of DIY project you're
working on. But the artwork, like what? Yeah, so you had the same artist for Long Walk, Captain Oblivious, and Sister Helen.
Yes.
So what inspired this character? Like, or was it like something you did at first and just wanted to do it over again? Like,
honestly, I think it was never like planned thing to do like the same guy, the same suit dude. I guess we can. He doesn't have a name, but canonically now on this podcast, I'm officially naming him Suit Dude because that's a funny name. It kind of rhymes. It kind of works. So Suit Dude. I don't know. So I do want to always shout out the artist Maeve McGlinchey, who did both paintings. I went to high school with her. Beautifully talented painter. An artist overall. She goes to school up in New York, and I've been following her art for years, and I'm so glad that she has agreed to do both paintings. So shout out to Maeve McGlinchey. Go follow her on all the social media and everything. She's on Instagram. Okay. As far as what was the question again?
Well, was there intention between these three covers to convey sort of like the same kind of like the self-destructive like phase?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Long Walk Off the Short Pier, I think as far as like the actual painting, I just kind of wanted, because I saw like so many bands just doing like just album covers where it's just like a picture, right? And nothing against, no, not throwing shade at any bands that have album covers where it's just like a picture or something. But I was like, I want to do something. I want something beautiful and something that's like a bit more substantial in that regard. So with Long Walk, I was just kind of like, well, Long Walk Off the Short Pier. I should just paint a guy walking up the short pier. How that's literally the album, right?
Well, there is some like coded things in it. Well, at least what I perceive to be is coded, because you have the entire rainbow in the skyline. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's true. Yeah. And him walking in the storm. Yeah. No, I think just the idea of it, I think it just kind of worked for that. And for Complacency, I didn't really. I mean, I didn't know I'd be writing Complacency until I started writing it. I didn't have set plans for a new Johnny Football Hero record until I started writing out the songs and then kind of planning around that. And with that, I kind of realized that I think I like the idea of like album covers kind of being consistent. Like one of my favorite examples is Dance Gavin Dance has used the same artist and for almost all their albums. And so, well, each album cover is different. You can tell they still have a similar style. They're still done by the same artist. There's different color schemes or different scene setups. So I was kind of inspired by that. And so I thought, well, with Complacency, I thought the idea of, a hellscape, with a lot of, bright reds, oranges, and browns would work really well, especially with, if like my therapist taught me, it's, people are complacent in the sense that there's more comfortable with staying in a known hell than discovering a new unknown heaven. So I again, kind of taking that literally and the idea of just chilling while the world burns around you. Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely get it. I've used the same model for my covers since
Cool.
2.0. So
nice.
Nice lady. We have a great relationship. But yeah, I do want there to be some kind of like consistency there too.
Yeah. So maybe for our next record, we'll do something completely inconsistent just to mess with everybody. Like,
well, if I move on from my current phase of work, I'll move on to something else. But like when I feel like I need to communicate that this is actually like a huge change.
Right. No, I'm not even thinking that. I'm thinking just like I'd be setting up like, the next Johnny Football Hero record. I don't know, maybe it'll be like in a forest with a lot of like greens and stuff. And then like it'll just be like a picture of a toilet or something. Like I don't know, just to mess with everybody. Just because I don't know, that's fun.
Or every next album he's like doing a puzzle or buying an ice cream or some shit.
Yeah. Or like he clearly peed himself. Like he's just standing there with like a piss stain on his pants. I don't know why that's hilarious.
Oh man, the poor life of the suit man.
Yes. Rest in peace, Suit Dude.
But yeah, like the album cover, that's initially what what got me was seeing this splashed up against Pitchfork's website, and I'm like,
Yeah,
I have to look
yeah,
at this.
it's
I have to see this. I have to know what this is.
wow, real okay. I'm glad because like I feel like album covers could just kind of I don't know how many people are could like you hear about like boomers talk about like going to the record store and like pulling out a record and just looking at the art and having to like buy the record just based off the art and like
I mean,
I
even
don't
I've
really
done
think
that. I've done
yeah
that plenty
okay
of times.
you don't hear that as much
Well, I don't
it's
think records are presented as like I feel like with vinyl, you have to have it presented as an art
yeah
piece. You know what I mean?
yeah yeah
You know,
but I still feel
whereas
like
now you
but I
don't really
still
have to.
but I still feel like you should, at least I like that. I like the idea of, putting a lot of effort into your cover and, not just taking a picture of like a shoe on a carpet and just like, oh, it's a shoe.
I mean, the two
Whatever.
best-selling records for 2021 is going to be an album cover that's just black and one with a bunch of emojis on it. So,
God, I
like,
can't. I still want to believe that the Drake album cover is a meme. I don't believe it. I refuse to believe that's real, but it's Drake, so it's definitely what he's doing. So yeah, the album already came out. So why am I still trying to believe that it's going to change? It's not. It's there. It's there. I'm just going to live in denial. That's like, no, it's not. I remember thinking like if you're reading this is too late was just kind of like a wow that's what you want to go
oh
for, all
yeah,
right.
that's your
So
thing, huh?
so you paid like a first grader to make your album covers, like, oh, okay, cool, but like that's miles above this. I hate it. I hate that album cover. I'm fixated on that album cover now. I'm mad you made me think.
Like you
Not really.
could have paid literally $100 to really literally anybody. Like
Yeah, you could have done anything. You're Drake. You could have bought like a Picasso painting and use it, buy the rights for it, but you pregnant emojis. Yeah.
yeah, that's what's going on.
What does it mean? Does he just recognizing? I don't know. I don't listen to Drake,
I
so I
mean,
could.
it's kind of like Drake recognizing that he's like this is what my what Superdestroyer told me, and like
Okay.
recognizing like it's not ironic anymore. Like I really am the piece of crap that you guys think I am. Like I do have
Oh,
weird
so
relationships with women. Like you know what I mean. Like at least
oh, okay, yeah, that makes okay. So yeah, he's just being like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking own it. I'm a shitty man. Like,
yeah.
cool, great,
Yeah, but I
thanks.
don't know. I don't think Drake has really been one at presenting an album as a full body of work either. you know.
Yeah, no, he's been the type to like. I don't remember like his last record. It was like what, like
But
27 songs, and like three of them were like actually finished and presentable. I forget. I could be thinking of somebody else.
I think you're talking about the More Life playlist or Dark Lane demo tapes. Or
Yeah,
something like,
dark. Okay. Yep. So not
yeah,
not a legit record. Okay, that makes sense.
but yeah, like yeah, it's I don't know. Like I'm not into that kind of like artwork, and I'm definitely not going to use it to present something that has my name attached to it. But yeah,
Yeah,
I do have a consistent model that I use, and like we've grown together. Like we've done
that's
various
awesome.
different styles of that of what me and her looks like. So
That's so cool. That's awesome. That yeah, especially like to work consistently with somebody and like to have them, have them be a part of the artist experience, even if they're not playing on the record.
oh yeah, I mean they're very much a part of the Bleed LCB brand as I am. That's how I like to
Right.
as far as
Yeah.
like the presentation of it. Plus they're a 50-50 partner with me on merch. So
Right.
you know,
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. No,
so
that's nice.
yeah, and like, but man, you got hand painted, hand painted artwork, and it's really like unique, And
Yeah.
it
Thank you.
definitely got across. Like this record sounds like the cover almost, where
Does it really?
like
Because
yeah,
I
because like
remember.
you got to do it in a launch chair in the middle of in the middle of hell, like
Well, when we first got it, like I loved it so much, but like there was a part of me it's just like this is like kind of look like a Slayer album a bit. Like if it wasn't for the guy, you would think it was like some like metal albums. So it was just kind of like I was afraid people would be like, oh, this must be some heavy shit, and then they hear it, it's like, oh, definitely not what I was envisioning. So I'm
no,
glad.
the cover conveys like no, this is hell, and I'm living in it.
Okay.
but it's
Okay.
not so
Cool.
bad because obviously I'm in a chair with a chase. I'm in a chase with my hands behind my head,
Well,
chilling.
you could even, yeah, you could even say that he's complacent. Yeah, I'm pretty complacent. Yeah.
Sorry. It's
That's
late.
great.
I start doing my voices.
That's great. It is 9:30 here on the Eastern Seaboard.
It is. It is.
Funny to think how Hawaii is still Eastern Standard Time, but that's how it is.
Yeah. Where does it change? Is it?
Indiana, I believe.
Okay.
Indiana, Illinois.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense.
So I think both states are like Chicago's like 5 hours, no, 6 hours away, and Indianapolis is like 5 hours away. So,
Why
like,
do I feel like Chicago is like a lot closer to Ohio?
I mean,
I would say like 2 hours, but I guess like, that's like times three, I guess.
I took the train there earlier. Like, actually, on the release day of my first of my second Lonely Ghost record, yeah, I took a train there to celebrate, and like I got on the train at like 3 and was in a place having breakfast by Willis Tower by 9. So, yeah,
Okay. Yeah. I think I'm just spoiled because like Philadelphia is like 2 hours away from like most other like East Coast major cities. Like we're
Oh,
2
you're right in
hours
the
from.
metropolitan area of New York.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Whoa. What? Oh no. Oh no.
well, I'll
No, we're
consider
not.
no, that's part of the tri-state area. Like that's that like you can be in New York City pretty quickly as far as compared to like the rest of the world.
Well, yeah. But like Philly has our own. We have our own tri-state area. We have a PA, New Jersey, well, South Jersey, and Delaware.
Okay,
So,
that's fair.
so,
But I still, I mean, that's still like the common tour circuit is like New York, Connecticut, Philly.
oh yeah. The Northeast as a whole. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. That
If
makes
you can
sense.
book a show in one, you're booking a show in another because it's like,
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
you can be back at home by
Yeah.
like 2 o'clock at night.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We've played shows up in New York because the label we're semi-signed to, Knuckle Down's based out of Brooklyn, so they've hooked us up with various shows in Brooklyn and Manhattan over the years. So yeah, we would drive up for like a one-off show in New York and come back. It's like 2 hours on the turnpike, on the Jersey Turnpike, I want to say, give and take, and then 2 hours down to DC as well. So
speaking of live stuff, like how does like Long Walk and Complacency translate to a live audience?
We've we've done a few things where we've changed up some of the arrangements. I know in Captain Oblivious we do something a bit different in the midsection, where instead of having the percussion come in, Misha just goes ham on like a 16th note double bass. So it kind of gets a bit thrashy there. But yeah, I mean, honestly, it was kind of difficult trying to play and sing these songs at the same time because some of the riffs are
your guitar playing is like it needs like Prince level precision.
Wow. Okay. Wow, that is a high compliment.
Well,
wow,
but he can like play like Mixolydian solos and
yeah.
sing at the same time.
I mean, yeah, I guess I've never wow, that's a first I've heard that. That is something. That's wow. I'll take it. I will take that. Yeah, it took a little bit because I was not concerned with knowing how to play these live because we were not playing live during the writing of this. So especially like Sister Helen, like playing that riff and chanting the parts and then harmonizing all in the same like verse was a bit hard. But I think with anything, it's muscle memory. So I just had to go down in my basement and just put the backing drum and bass tracks and just play guitar and sing and just keep doing it. And now I think it translates very well live. I try my best to get the same exact guitar tone that I did on the record, as well as we do play a half step down live, just because it's just easier on my voice. I know it's a kind of cheating, but I'd rather cheat and like still come out with like my voice intact rather than do it and then blow my voice out accidentally halfway through the set and then like most of the songs are like unsingable at that point.
Well,
Um,
giving a good show and having an accurate representation are two different things. You know what I mean?
yeah, but I want to try to make sure I could do both as well as I can. But at the end of the day, we do have a set list, kind of a set list we've been playing to try to keep the energy going. I think one of the hardest things with our music is because a lot of the songs are very dependent on where they are on the records. Is that when we make a set, it's really hard to just pull out a couple of just straight bangers. It's going to keep the energy going throughout the whole show without maybe some energy dips or like some songs that people kind of tune out of. But I think we have a pretty good set list right now. We're probably going to spice it up a little bit. We actually put out a chill wave actually we did a live set and we had it filmed. It was our first show back since the pandemic. And so it was like the first show since Complacency was released, first show with our bassist Addison. And basically first show since the pandemic. And Chillwave actually threw up the live set on their YouTube channel. And so we're doing the set we played that night just because it's a great set, you know, and I know some bands will just like make up a set on the spot, and we used to do that. But I'd rather try to keep a consistent show. As far as I don't know, I like the energy that this set has, and it makes sure that we're always well rehearsed and doing the best that we can. Especially coming from like I don't know, some musicals and theater and you know stuff as you know in high school and stuff. So I understand that need for consistency and being in that mindset to make sure it just becomes natural. So you could just focus on just fucking it up, you know. And you know we try to just put on the biggest best show. Addison, she has like a wireless system for her bass, so that way she can just fucking throw down. So she has no wires she has to deal with getting tangled up in. She just headbangs and just provides the energy, and then when I'm not singing I fucking join her and we just go wild. So doing all that it's tough, and by the end of it, if you ever try to talk to us right after we're done playing, we're virtually like uncommunicative because we're just so beat and dead, but it is so worth it. I do need to start drinking Gatorade though because I need electrolyte replenishment. I go a bit too hard.
Well, and it looks fun. I did actually see that video on Chillwave.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah, I think it was like the end of August when it went up. But
yep.
But yeah, you guys do look like you're having fun all the while, like you're professionals, you know?
Yeah. Thank you. We try. That's what I always say when everyone's like, "Oh, you did so well." I was like, "Thank you. We try." Like, getting compliments can be so like overwhelming. So that's my default phrase.
You know, and your guitar looks beautiful, by the way. The white with the wood.
Like, Jazz Master, thank you.
That is a Jazz Master. I was man.
Yep.
I was gonna ask that, and I'm like, no, this makes me sound like pretentious, and I don't do guitar shit at all. So like,
oh no, you're fine. You're fine.
I play a wooden uke.
Beautiful. No. Yep, Jazz Master, Squire, classic vibe thing.
Didn't Fender just release a new Jazz Master that doubles as an acoustic, I believe?
Yeah, my dad was actually showing me the commercials for it. I think who's the one guitarist? I can't remember their name right off the. Well, I think I know their name. I just might get it wrong. Is it Ichiko? Like the super math rock like guitar instrumental channel that plays like little snippets and stuff. They did one with Data Jazz Master recently. It was really beautiful.
Yeah, the guitar looks pretty dope. You know, at least your guitar does. You know,
thank you.
That white splashing with the wood that was very nice.
Thank you.
So what's I mean, it's besides a tour, obviously. You know, maybe in safer times.
Touring's a bit weird because Misha goes to grad school, so his schedule's kind of closed in that regard. I would personally, I'd be all for it. I know that's something Addison and I would love to do. Addison's toured all across the country in her previous band For the Fire when she lived back in Indiana. So she has a lot of experience with that. I've only done it like once, and even then it was kind of like a half tour. It was more just like a few shows up the East Coast for like 4 days. So it wasn't that extensive, but I would personally love to do it. We just have to make sure we can find a good set time where Misha will not be in school or be on break in order to do so. And I also do not want to tour in the winter. Like that just sounds miserable. I don't think I could.
Well, nobody wants to be in a position where they hate, everybody around them for no reason and have that be
absolutely.
your band. Like,
I think well, the social dynamics in the band are so healthy, and we're also like in such a good headspace with each other because we've all been in bands where like everybody like doesn't communicate their issues, and then there's just like a lot of grudges being held and everything. So we're all very communicative to where I don't think that'd be a problem. I think if anything, like we'd know like maybe some days like we might not want to be as social with each other as much just because we just want time on our own. But I don't think we've come out hating each other. We've been in that scenario before with other bands, and we've learned how to avoid that.
Yeah, because that really is, it's a quick way to kill the vibe,
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm glad I make music on my own, and I make music in a vacuum, as good or bad as that can be.
Hey, whatever works for you. If you love it, then that's what matters.
Oh yeah, I mean, I love what I do, and I'm very proud of what I do, and hopefully Lonely Ghost feels the same way, which I'm sure they do, because they haven't yet to say no, we're not putting this out. So
I could be wrong, but I don't think Lonely Ghost is the type of label be like, I don't know, I don't hear a single.
Well, I've known Superdestroyer since like we went to high school together. That's how.
Okay. I was just joking.
That's how old we are. I don't know if that. I'll just get like I'll get an honest response, but a nice honest response. Nice. Hey, you sure you want to do this?
hey, love the effort. Horrible song. I appreciate all that you do. This is the worst thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Have a great day. It's like, yay.
But yeah, we're usually pretty good about that, and I don't think I think we're fans of each other before we're, like business associates,
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I approach every collaboration I have. I really don't collaborate with people that I'm not friends with, and people who I'm not friends with, I usually pay them because that's like this is what this is,
Yeah. No, I think, and it's important, like in life, and I think especially in the scene to make sure that there are good boundaries set between you and other people that you'd either be working with or working around, or just who will be in the same circles. Because I think there's always there's such like and the idea that like everybody in the scene or every artist should be like friends, or like the idea of like, I don't know, the idea of viewing your fans as personal friends and like speaking to them as friends and trying to like develop this parasocial relationship through social media, it can really weird me out sometimes, because I think that goes completely against like what boundaries we should have for our emotional and social stakes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because fans don't really get the nuance of it. Like,
yeah,
not that they don't get any nuance out of it, but like your friends know what you're not saying more than what your fans are. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like your fans only get the part of the story that you can articulate clearly. Like,
yeah. I see some bands, like if they have a show or anything, it just weirds me when some of them, I'm not calling anybody out specifically, but they'll kind of be like, hey, come out to the show and we'll get to hang out, or like, make sure I'll give you a hug, if you come to the show. And it's just like, I get like that's a really wholesome idea, but I think it's also just kind of, I don't know, it's a little strange because it really does obscure the line between fans and supporters and genuine friends. And I think it's important to make sure that if you do have fans, if you do have a following, that you're not working in a way to exploit some kind of parasocial connection they could form with you, because you are in a position of power and you are influential in that sense. No matter how big or small of a band you could be, if you have a following, you have a platform. So I don't know, a lot of some of that can be a little, can make me feel uncomfortable, and I
Well, then
yeah.
I think in emo music, it's easy to do that even
Oh
accidentally.
yeah.
You know,
Oh,
like
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah.
because you are putting out there, like, in a perfect emo world, you're putting out there, something that is very interesting to your experience, and which in turn
Yes.
is very interesting to the human experience if you're honest enough. You know,
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
and that type of music is what people respond to the most.
Yeah. But that also means that you have to be as responsible as you possibly can, as well, and how you handle that, because you could, we've seen it time and time again where people have used that position and have hurt people, and it still happens, and it's terrible. I hate it. So
Like there's a concept for an episode of this podcast that I want to do for like the mid 2000s emo movement, and how it did or did not teach us how to grow up to be adults.
Yeah. Oh, that's a great idea. Wow.
Hey, if
I like that.
you want to put into sense about, let me know, because I'll
When you
definitely
say
invite
like
you.
when you say like mid 2000s, we talking like MCR, Fall Out Boy, emo, like
I'm
that.
talking anything between like post Green Day American Idiot,
Okay.
and
Okay. Cool.
and that the sound that pretty much was like branched out of that to like MCR, Panic, and like Simple Plan, and there are the beginning of like the modern
Yeah.
baseball as well,
Yeah.
like, and pretty
I
much
think.
how those like betrayed you to emotionally prepare for adulthood, which is nothing like
Yeah.
what
I
an
think.
emo record puts it out to be.
I think one subject that kind of follows that, is the my Addison and I have talked about how weird the like the Warped Tour bands from the early
Oh
2010s,
yeah, I've been to a
um
couple of those.
how they were very irresponsible with how they tried to connect with their fans, and how predatory, I don't want to say predatory in like a, it kind of like in a financial sense, right? Like these bands like purposefully writing lyrics that would really resonate with like a specific, like, a young teenage girl, for example, like would
I
always be
never
like the
seen
target for them.
like I've seen Ariana Grande, right?
Yeah.
And there is still more young teenage girls at the
Mhm.
Warp Tour, at depending on
Yeah.
what stage you go to,
Yeah. Yeah.
like than I ever seen at any other show in my life.
Yeah. And like these guys would like utilize like the faux, like this faux sense of like, emotional, like, of like mental health advocacy, but in a really shitty and fake way, in order to appeal to them, and how, it kind of, again, it exploited this parasocial connection they would all have. For as a lot of, I do like a lot of those bands in a musical sense, but um, a good majority of them were really irresponsible with in that regard. And Addison and I have talked about that a lot, so that'd be another good thing to dive into.
Well, I remember back in '05 when, because the first for the tour after that, I think it was what the hell is that band that did not that did Ohio is for Lovers, but
Hawthorne?
what now?
Is it not Hawthorne Heights? Is it?
Oh, Hawthorne
No.
Heights, yeah, Hawthorne
Yes.
Heights.
Okay. Okay. You know what?
So
I said that because I thought I was wrong, and I didn't want like people to be like, he doesn't even know this band. Yeah. So
but being in
okay, I'm glad I
Cleveland
was good.
and hearing a bunch of like teenagers just like say that like
Hmm.
really loudly, like I don't think I processed that at the time, because I was like, yeah,
Hmm.
fuck yeah, like song slaps.
Yeah.
But no, it's like no, this is maybe the wrong message that
Yeah.
to respond to what can be perceived as melodrama, especially
Yeah.
given the audience of the
Yeah.
track, you
Yeah.
know. So
I think out of all those bands, I do think like MCR did it the best, because you listen to like how the band formed and all that. It's very earnest, the way they talk about like how the music really helped save them. I think there's a lot of honesty with how Gerard Way came about that.
Well,
And like I
plus,
don't think
I never like listened to an MCR record and not felt better about it at the end of it. You know what I mean?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, 100%.
You know, like Welcome to the Black Parade was like, you know, well, that was a concept record. Like, yeah, I think people forget that. Like there's a central character.
Oh, I don't
that,
forget it.
You know,
I don't forget it. I also don't forget that it was produced by the same guy that made American Idiot, which was also a concept record on Reproduced Records. I'm sorry. I don't care. I've been outstated about this enough. Black Parade was just MCR listening to American Idiot and being like, we can do that too.
we can do it too, and we can do it better. that's
well,
because I feel much better about the Tale and Black Parade than I think the songs are just better too. You know,
I will give this. I will say like American Idiot does kind of fall off after Saint Jimmy, and then it just kind of gets a bit boring. I will say that. Yeah, Black Parade I'm mixed about. I love Three Cheers though. Three Cheers, I'll fucking die for that record.
Nothing compares to Helena, which is my favorite MCR song.
Yeah, Helena. Then into Give 'Em Hell Kid, that bass line, and oof, that record just goes hard. Oh, I love it.
Oh yeah, Helena. Yeah, well, that was a song that made me like MCR actually.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you didn't hear that, and if you heard that and you weren't like, oh, this is great, like I'm like, oof, you missed out.
Because I think, man, I'm definitely inviting you to do that podcast if we ever.
All right, yeah.
If we ever do that, because
we ever do it, please let me know.
Yeah. We're definitely doing that. You know, because I think there's some things that like we went about the wrong way. You know, just like how romantic comedies kind of like show the absolute wrong way to get into a successful relationship.
Oh yeah,
I feel like
absolutely.
Emo records in that time did the same thing to us as adults.
Yeah, they could be. Depending on the records, yeah, it could be, and I think that it became like it all became a competition about like who was like more depressed or more mentally unwell, and it just became like the self-perpetuating issue.
Yeah, like I remember I was in on Vindicated, but you know, Ohio's for Lovers. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I mean, I remember. I mean, I was very young, but I was old enough to get on the internet in the MySpace days of like 2008, 2009, and then just seeing kind of the fetishizing of mental illness as like cred or like, and I don't know. I think that was not, it was really unhealthy for a lot of people.
And I think your record does it very well and very responsibly too.
Thank you. Oh, yay. I'm glad. Yeah, it's, I mean, if you're going to be talking about the shit, you know, if this is what you're going to be about, you know, I think you have to do it well. And it's not like it's not like I was making sure like, well, I gotta make sure it's like this so it's not problematic. It really comes from the heart and everything, and it is how I feel. Yeah. But
it does steer away from like some of the scary details. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely. Yeah. There's some hints of some things, but it's nothing, you know. The last thing lyrically I want to be is like Taking Back Sunday or like Brand New, where it's just kind of like all like, oh, you broke my heart, I hate you, how'd you do this, you know, like that era of like emo, very very, yeah, you know, the music's great, but like lyrically I think, you know, it's like I just don't want to be like screaming about like, you know,
abuse basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you don't want to be a muse musician like so many people from that era were, you know.
Yeah,
nothing against them, it's just I think it gets boring when
I think it was an important development for the music, but you know, to recognize where it went wrong and to make sure we learn from that is you know, that's the overall goal for I think any media. So
yeah, but I think it get bored on the line of like being stuck on a manic pixie girl type of thing for music, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
where like there's like an ownership type of vibe going on with Breakup Records that I don't like, and
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
know, but that's neither here. That's not present in this record,
Cool. I'm glad. I'm glad it's not.
All right, so Riley, where can the people find you? And by the way, thank you for coming on. By the way, this has been
Thank
a
you
great
for having.
discussion.
Yeah, this has been fun. Yeah. Where can they find me, or I guess the
Yeah,
band,
the entity that is Johnny Football.
the entity that is Johnny Football Hero. We're on the bird website, the Bluebird Box website, at the @ symbol JFH. I think it's _PHL. Yeah, because you can't do periods on Twitter usernames. So yeah, Twitter is JFH _PHL. Johnny Football Hero Philadelphia is what it stands for. Philadelphia Airport Code. Then the photo Twitter website, the Instagram, that is jfh.phl, because the dot looks cooler. So I did it on Instagram.
That does look
and then
cooler. I do agree.
It does. Yeah, it does. I'm mad Twitter wouldn't let me do it. Twitter, if you're listening, come on, get your shit together. And then for the boomers still on Facebook, you can find us there. Johnny Football Hero. And then Spotify, Bandcamp, we're there. Johnny Football Hero, officially better than Weezer, according to Pitchfork. So
okay,
suck it, Weezer.
That's a statement.
That was something I found. So it was like when Ian Cohen did the review for Complacency. I went through the past reviews he did just to see, and like the latest, or like the OK Human record Weezer put out was
that is awful. I will say
5.2, the 5.2. So I just put a little image comparison. It was like Weezer 5.2, Johnny Football Hero 7.4. And I was just like, suck it, Weezer. And I want to put that on a shirt somewhere. So.
Okay, so you heard it here. Tellin, Weezer is less than Johnny Football Hero, which I will have to agree given the last two records.
I've heard people say that like we're better than Dance Gavin Dance now. Like in 2 reviews, I was like wow, like Dance Gavin Dance fell off, and now Johnny Football Hero could fill that void. I'm like, bruh, hold on, like thank you, but like that's a bold claim.
Yeah, that's a big shit to fill too.
Yeah.